Hi, welcome to this week's podcast. I hope you had a wonderful time connecting with family and friends over the holiday period. You're going to have to excuse me this week because I did come down with tonsillitis over that holiday period and I'm still just recovering. So I've got this lovely squeaky, husky, bit of a cough too, voice. So I have had to sort of leave off doing the meditation this week, because I do cough every now and then, and that's just going to disrupt any meditation and any meditative state you get into. So what I will do next week is give you a full hour meditation, and that will be a whole chakra alignment one. So we did touch on about a month ago with a heart centering rose chakra meditation. This one will be a whole hour, which will be fantastic to align all of our chakras with various flowers. A great start for the new year, I think. Which brings us to the new year, and lots of people's minds start turning towards obviously the future and having a look at the energies that surround us for the coming year. Divination, yes. My feelings about divination are that they are simply, any sort of divination system simply shows you the possibilities and the energies that are around, but you're the master of your own free will, and it's up to you to actually actively do something in order for that to come about. So I'm not a believer in hard and fast, this is what's going to happen. You need to get off your butt and make it happen, and it will show you where your challenges will be and where your possibilities and where your strong energies are, and the place that you can sort of tap into those. So that's how I very much view divination systems. So keep that in mind as I'm speaking to you today about flowers and divination. So, believe it or not, and some of you probably already know, flower divination already has a name, and that's floromancy, which is flower divination. There's also botamancy. It's a very tongue twistery word, and that's using any flowers, obviously the word botany in there, any plants in order to read, or as a basis of a divination system. This is nothing new. You've got to remember that divining the future and looking for answers and looking for omens and looking for energetic qualities has been around as long as man has been able to think. And this is before printing presses, and it's even before we started making things like runes and I Ching sticks and all those sorts of things. People look to the natural world for signs, and one of the signs that they would have looked at most definitely would have been flowers. The way that they would have done that is exactly the way that you or anybody can do so today. Looking for unusual flowers that come up, looking for flowers that seem to come up everywhere you are. And of course, this is natural flowers growing. Looking at the way flowers grow that you plant. Yes, even if they don't grow very well. I didn't have the best sunflower crop. It was quite interesting. I planted 2 different types of sunflowers this year. And one I really put a lot of focus and a lot of energy on and thought, wow, these are going to be amazing, because they were giant sunflowers. I can't wait. And I just happened to pick up some other sunflowers, which are just, they're dwarf sunflowers, and I thought, well, I can just fill in the gaps, that'll be fine. But I was so focused on these big sunflowers. And none of the big sunflowers came up at all, but all of the dwarf ones came up, and they were prolific. I took a lot out of that, because it was really about, for me, focusing on the groundwork, which is something I do very much, I was going to say preach, I very much teach all the time, but it's like anything, we sort of say things and we think we do them, but do we really do them? Do we really focus as much as we should? And I did realise that there was an aspect of things that I was doing that I wasn't looking at, the filler, the groundwork, the little things that I needed to take care of. And it was quite interesting, because the day that I sort of put that together with why haven't my great big flashy, great big giant sunflowers come up, and just these other ones that didn't, really, they were just supposed to be doing a menial job. They're flourishing and actually they're very big. That day I did put it all together and had a look at this one aspect of my work actually and my life that I needed to focus on a little bit more. So that's what people used to do. They would plant things as well and look at what happened. how they grew. They're great stories throughout history about people planting flowers and them making symbols when they come up, or words even, and that's quite fascinating. So it would do you well if you plant something like that to get up safely on a ladder and have a look from above to see what sort of patterns are coming up in your gardens as well, or stand above them somehow. So that's random science. The other thing is that there would be a focus as well, and as I touched on before, the I Ching, that came about, it was carved on yarrow stalks, and yarrow is a flower very much connected with longevity, divination, into the future. So that's why that was used. Of course, it's now inscribed on lots of different things, but it started out really as being a flower oracle. Hang on, I'm just going to turn this down for all of you. I've got it turned up a bit because my swimming neighbours are a little bit loud today. And of course, the thing that I've got down there on my podcast today, and it's a little video I've shown quite a lot that I filmed a couple of years ago, and that is flower scrying. That started with the ancient Greeks, and they would pull petals off of flowers, pretty much like that, and they would scatter them onto beautiful ponds and fountains, and they would have a look at what happened there. So have a look at that, because that's a really good thing to do. I actually have that beautiful clay bowl that a local artist made for me, and I use that just purely for divining with flower petals, and that sits at my front door, and I absolutely adore it, and sits outside, and I fill it with water in the moonlight, and that's when I do my flower divining. But that's a really, really easy one to do. If you're looking at symbols like how do I know? Look, use your intuition. Write down the first things that you think of when you see. If it looks like a bear, it's a bear. How do I know what that means? Have a look at tea leaf reading books and resources. I'll add some here for you, and other correspondences. That's what you're looking for, symbol correspondences. So tea leaf reading, coffee ground reading, those types of things will lead you into the right path. You want to keep a journal when you're doing any of this sort of divination system, so that you can build your own divination system with flowers. See what works for you, see what's right for you, what you really like and enjoy, and what makes sense to you as well. This is a really deep connection with the natural world, okay? So whether you're making the connection then buying created oracle deck cards and connecting that way so that you can have the flowers with you all the time, or using fresh flowers, using combinations, which you can definitely do of both, the thing is you're building your own practice. You can start off, and I always say to people, start off with the things that are working for other people, but then start making your own. They're like recipes, any of these sorts of things. It's a language that you understand, and if you need to rewrite the language a little bit so it makes a bit more sense to you, by all means do it. Don't disregard history. It's not about making up your own thing. Have a good look at the way things have been done before and try them out. Learn, be a student. I'm a student still, and take it on board and have a look at what works, and find out the things that make sense to you and how the language that makes sense for you to see and divine with flowers. Now, so that's random signs and omens, and also different forms of divination. Oh, one more form of divination. That's right. Yes, and I should be coughing now, because I know I thought this was fascinating when I was doing my research. The Welsh used to burn flowers to read them. Well, they would burn things like holly and laurel, and they would burn flowers as well. So they would see within the flames and in the smoke what patterns and things like that, and also the sound as well. They would hear voices or the sounds that the crackling plants would make, and these would divine messages to them as well. That's very dramatic. Don't know if you'd want to do that. I think it's a bit dramatic, but there you go. There are lots of different ways. So these things develop over time, and it's this development that I wanted to point out to you, because that's what you would be doing as well, as developing your own flower divination system, if that's what you wanted to go into. Nobody has the perfect flower divination system. They're natural, okay? That's what I mean. You're connecting and working it out for yourself. Now I'm going to show you in a minute a few really easy ways that you can use fresh flowers to get some information and make an oracle, if you will. Now, to try this out, you just need some fresh flowers, anything with petals. Go outside in the garden, grab some. Buying some's okay. Look, use your intuition. You know, if you're walking through Woolies and a little bunch of flowers really sort of, wow, you know, it speaks to you, maybe it is, you know, like, who am I to say? You know, they're natural flowers. They might have something, you know, this flower might have gone through that whole process in order to jump out the other end to be there. On the whole, probably not, but you never know. I can never discount, because it's still a natural growing thing. Even if it did grow with a billion other plants, maybe this one plant has some sort of energy for you. So if you feel it and you really think that it's got something for you, yeah, okay, I'm not going to say no, don't use that, but it is better off to go for a walk and find some. Now, what if there are no flowers? It's snowing wherever you are and there are absolutely no flowers whatsoever. Magazines, newspapers, books, those sorts of things. Draw your own flowers. I do find the gardening books are fantastic, even just cutting out a whole lot of different flower pictures and making little collages and using those. When the flowers are out and about, you might want to press some flowers. A really, really simple and fantastic thing is collecting your own flowers, pressing them, and all you need to use is a bit of contact paper and some cardstock, and you just place your flowers down on your cardstock, put the laminate over the top of it, and you've got pressed flower oracle with your flowers that you've collected. So that's a really great thing to do, particularly if you're in areas where there are no flowers at certain periods of the year. So there are a few different things that you can use. Now I'm going to show you bit by bit some things you might want to, I was going to say employ, but I suppose it is employ, to help you divine. And there's lots and lots of different resources that I'll point you towards in this podcast as well. The heart of this podcast, though, will probably be discussion this evening. So I will be here. I'm so sorry. I will be here to have a discussion with you and answer any questions. And I'd love to hear about your experiences as well with flower reading. And if you've got flowers tonight, you can share them with me and your thoughts about them as well. Remember, there are no hard and fast right answers. There are lots of resources. There's you tuning in with the energy of a flower, and you should have been able to do that if you go back over the other podcasts and have a good look at those meditations and do those a few times, because that will really open you up to understanding the energy of flowers a little bit more. I wish you the most amazing 2014. I can feel great things happening, and I really feel like it's a year for creative energy and flow as well. I'm very excited about my work with flowers, and I'm so thrilled that you're here at my podcast, because I think it's a big year for people who love flowers next year and creativity as well. Have lots of fun with your divination. As I said, I love to hear your thoughts and feedback and have a chat with you. Have fun looking at the other videos and resources, and we'll talk soon. Blessings.